Hey, I'm Carrie Lawless, and we are Designaholics. Welcome to our channel where we teach DIY hacks, how to achieve high-end looks on a budget, and how to get the most for your home when you sell. On today's Designaholic DIY, we are going to transform this chandelier right here into a masterpiece. It's nice, but it's not really fitting what we do, so we're going to change it all up, and we're going to show you how you can do it too, so stay with us. Left it off long enough for these to cool off. They are so hot, don't touch them right away. So everything's cooled off. I'm just going to unscrew the light bulb, and inside of here, there is a little piece that I've got to unscrew. It's holding this in. So this piece right here actually holds this in. So now it will come right off. We're gonna go ahead and do the rest with all of the other ones. All right, while they're wrapping up the little globes so they don't get broken, I'm gonna show you how to take this part off. There's a little nut here that's actually going to get unscrewed. Okay, now I'm gonna hold this really well, because this, when I unscrew this, this is what's holding this up. So get someone to help you, or really make sure you're doing a good job holding this up. Okay, again, hold it tightly. And here we go. Ta-da! All right, we're about to get started painting. All right, so we're just using paper plates, and we poured some paint on them, and we have all different kinds of brushes because we're using whatever we have. So this is an actual chalk paint brush, and the Designaholics have their chip brushes. But this is just, this is what we had, and it's gonna work. So you can use anything. So I'm just gonna dip a little bit in here. We're not even 100% sure we like this color, but we're just gonna see if this is the color that we like. All right, ladies, do we like this color? So, my inspiration for this is this piece behind me, the frame and the colors in it. And I just wanna make sure that this is warm enough. I do think it's a little too cool, but we can warm it up with some wax after the fact. Yes. So it's the warmest color we have in this grayish family, so I think we're just gonna go with it. All right, we've been experimenting with this, and I thought we were gonna start out with this one color, and as it turns out, it was just a little too cool. So we're gonna add in a second color, and I just wanted to make the point that you really need to experiment. The cool thing about chalk paint is you can paint and repaint as many times as you want. So you'll see we have a paper plate here, and we just poured a little of each on it. And as far as brushes go, this is a chalk paint brush, this is a chip brush. It really doesn't matter what you use. This probably will cover a little faster, but it's not necessary. Anything will work. The chalk paint that I'm using is, I actually have two different brands. I'm using Folk Art, and the color is Castle, and then I'm using Waverly, and the color is Cashew. So we needed a little bit of warmth. This was a little too cool, so we just played around with things till we got what we wanted. And so we're about to get started. I'm using a combination of brushing and stippling. What you want to do is make sure you get in all those little grooves. Stippling is just the process of tapping. Obviously a little more paint would help, but there you go. Also, I'm using about equal ratios. I know there's more of this color on the plate, but when I dip my brush, I'm about half and half in. And then it just mixes right onto the fixture. No need to do any kind of mixing. So I cannot wait to see how this is gonna come out. You see all this detail? This is what you really wanna look for. When you're chalk painting, when you go to distress, and we're gonna sand off these edges, then the detail is really gonna come out and show through. And then we're also gonna add some wax in the end, some dark wax. It's gonna add some more depth and dimension to this. This is literally just the first step. We're back, we have everything painted, it's totally covered, and we're gonna try a little test spot to see if we like what's under here to determine what's our next step. So I've got a little sanding block, like a medium grit is what I'm using. Okay, so here you go, it's a prime example. I thought we were gonna be seeing something dark under here, and it's actually kind of light, which is not what I was expecting. Y'all check this out. Do you like what's going on here? It's kind of like yellowy.
I do.
You do?
Yes, I do. It
Yeah.
has to do with the color too. So it's
You think it's a good contrast
Yes.
with what's going on? All right, well, there you go. So what we're doing is we're just gonna take the top layer off of the high points, and then that's gonna give us some dimension. After that, we're gonna put a clear wax and then put a dark wax. Now the reason why you do the clear wax in between is because if I just put dark wax on this chalky paint, it's gonna soak it all in. I only want the dark wax to go into the crevices. So I put the clear wax first to give me something to slide on, then I'm gonna put the dark wax on, and we'll show you that process when we get to it. All right, I guess we should get sanding,
Standing
and sanding.
Yes.
There we go.
We're going to do the next step in our chalk paint DIY for this light fixture. Carrie's on her way, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to put a coat of Waverly clear wax.
This is gonna seal the paint, the chalk paint that we already did on this chandelier. So let's see.
Let's get started.
Rounding and Natalia did a great job finishing up the last step, and what that did was seal the chalk paint so that when we go to put on this very dark wax right here, it's not going to seep into the pores of the chalk paint, because chalk paint is extremely porous. And just so you know, this is what we're using, Folk Art Home Decor. It's the dark wax, antique wax. So it really doesn't matter. You can use any dark wax that you want, but now that it's sealed, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm using a chalk paint brush, and but like we said, you can use any kind of brush. Just go ahead and get it into the crevices. I'm just gonna paint this one little element all the way, because what I'm about to do is go back over it with a paper towel and take off everything that's on the tops. So the whole idea of this process is all the recesses that you see in the chandelier, I wanna highlight that. So in order to do that, we're gonna get the dark in the crevices. There we go. And there is actually a step after this also. Okay, so I'm just taking a paper towel, and you see what happens when I wipe this? It reveals the crevices, and then you can really see the lines of what's going on here. Now this is very severe. I would never leave it like this. It's just too busy, but this is just in the process of this step. Now, the other thing I will do, any kind of brush will work, but I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of dab the excess out, hit it again. Now my recesses aren't quite so dark. Now that's just a preference. Like if you wanted it to be dark, you could do that, but I'm gonna actually lighten this back up so when I do, the dark is gonna be too dark, too much contrast. All right, there we go. So stay with us because you're going to want to see how pretty this turns out on the next step. Right now we're just going to go ahead and take care of getting this done. We are here about to do the final step. Now, what I have in this little container is white wax. In this case, I'm using Waverly. It's a water-based wax, and I'm gonna dry brush this on. Let me show you what that means. I'm gonna dip my brush in this white wax, and I'm using the side of the container to just tap it off. I don't want a whole lot on here. And then I've also got this paper towel here, and I'm gonna tap it off again so that I don't have a whole lot on the brush. Now what I'm gonna do is take this and I'm gonna go sideways, okay? If I take this brush and start like this, it's just gonna cover up all these beautiful brown crevices that we worked so hard to create. So I don't have a lot on the brush, and I'm gonna go in sideways, just like this. You're highlighting the tops, which is accentuating even further the dark brown crevices. Now I can really see the contours and what's going on. I will say this, if you find your crevices are too dark and a bit distracting, and that is just a matter of preference, you can go into them just a little bit with a super dry brush and just barely glaze over the tops. Tone them down a little bit. All right, ladies, I need an opinion. Designaholics, please. What do y'all think? What do y'all think with the picture behind it and everything else? Can y'all tell what's going on here? It's so glary. You see?
It is a lot of glare, but yes.
Awesome.
It matches the outside frame.
Too light, too dark, too what? Good?
I think it's perfect.
We're just trying to pick up on the wall color in the room primarily, and of course we're using this piece of art as our inspiration. So just trying to make sure, and you know, here's the beauty of this. We've got the colors right here. If we went too light, just go back over it and darken it back up again. But I think we've got what we're looking for. All right, let's get started.
All right.
Oh, and I wanted to also bring to your attention that we only waited until the last coat of wax was dry to the touch. According to the instructions, you want to wait 24 hours and then buff to the desired sheen. We weren't using the wax in that way. So since we're layering on waxes, I just waited till it was dry to the touch, and it was just fine. Went right over it. One thing that you want to do throughout this process is step back from what you're doing and make sure that it's consistent. When you're right up on something and you're focused on one piece, it's really easy to make one part heavier than another. So by stepping back and gaining a broader perspective, you'll be able to tell if you're going in the right direction and continuing in the same way that you started. What do y'all think? I think we're done with this white wax. How's it look? Good?
Amazing.
Oh, amazing. That's my favorite. Oh my God, look at it with the frame.
It's beautiful.
All right, I say we are done with this and we should just put the globes on. Yeah?
Sure.
Let there be light. There you go. All right, what do we think?
It is beautiful.
Yes? Yes, now that we can see and all the globes are back on. All right, Designaholics, fantastic transformation. I'm Carrie Lawless and we are Designaholics. We're so glad that you stayed with us through this fantastic transformation. Please make sure to subscribe and ring the little bell for notifications so you will know when we have more great content coming up.